What is popping, everybody? My name is Aiden, and welcome back to the Original Fashion Tarot channel. Today we'll be doing part 2 of the unboxing of my deck, the HanOracleTarot. Let's get into this. In the previous episode, we unboxed probably around, I'd say maybe 50 of these cards. Beautiful cards. I very highly recommend going to check out that video if you haven't already before this, just so you can maybe get a little bit of context as to how I got this. And without further ado, let's get into this. Starting off, Hydra's Challenge. Show this one off. Beautiful, beautiful little card here. The Hydra is, well, some people say it has 9 heads. I'm saying, the Hydra can have as many heads as you need because if you cut off one head, 2 more shall take its place. Set that down there. Next up, we have Castor and Pollux' Bond. Another beautiful card. These were some brothers back in the old Greek mythos, and they had quite the brotherly bond. Brotherhood, duality, and loyalty. Yeah, I see those are pretty good cards to describe them. Next up, Circe's Enchantment. Now, Circe, she was a bit of a tricky one of the goddesses. She was one of the goddesses of magic, but not good magic. Hecate would be the goddess of magic in its purest form. Light, dark, doesn't really matter. She's the goddess of magic, period. But Circe was quite the sorceress. She knew how to enchant, and she knew how to do it well. Transformation, magic, influence. Yeah, see, there you go. Next up, Pandora's Curiosity. I'm sure we've all heard the story of Pandora's box. Yeah, this is a card that even today is known in legends. Pandora's box. She opened it, summoned the sins into the world, and that's how the 7 deadly sins were born, according to the Greek mythos. Personally, I think humanity had them anyways, but you never know. Innocence, discovery, consequence. I suppose so. Next up, Hermes' Message. Sure, we all know Hermes, the god of messengers. Messengers, roads, traveling, basically all that stuff. You might know him by his Roman form. I believe it's Mercury, actually, is his Roman form. And whenever you hear Mercury's in retrograde, you're probably thinking, hey, I know that. Hermes pissed. So there you go. Next up, the Oracle's Riddle, Mystery Enlightenment Challenge. Now, the Oracle in the ancient Greek mythology, there were a lot of oracles in ancient Greek mythology, but the most well-known one was the Oracle at Delphi, Apollo's very own Oracle. He slew the mighty beast Python and took over the cave of Delphi. And in doing so, he gained the power of prophecy. And so he passed that power down to one lucky mortal. Every time one of them died, he'd pass the power on. Who knows if they're still around to this day. Pay a visit to the Delphi caves. Might just find something interesting. Next up, the Lotus Eaters. Temptation, forgetfulness, contentment. So the Lotus is, it's a bit of an interesting thing here. And the Lotus Eaters, so I don't actually know this, myth too well, but I do know of something similar. So the Lotus Eaters, this is a card that, you get sucked in, essentially, to, the mystery, the challenge. You forget about the world around you. You're just focused solely on this one thing. And you can't stop focusing on it. It's the thing. And you may feel content, but believe me, some things are as illusionary as they appear. Odysseus is cunning. Strategy, journey, adaptability. This is a beautiful, beautiful card. Odysseus was one of the greatest, most well-known hero travelers in ancient Greek mythology. He was ruthless, brilliant, very strategic, and he had a long, long journey ahead of him. Next up, the Oracle's Chalice. Insight, Sacrifice, Revelation. Another one of the prophecy cards. You can gain a lot of insight into the future, but sometimes in ancient Greek mythology, the riddles of the Oracle would drive some people mad. They would drive some people mad, and oof. Let's just say the consequences of some of these prophecies, despite originally not being so bad, were severe. Next up, Boreas's Whisper. This is one of the lesser known Greek gods. This is the god of the north wind. He is one of the more gentle wind gods. Change, cold, movement. Well, he is one of the northern, winds. So he's the god of the northern winds. So it figures that he would be pretty cold, since going north, you think of cold naturally. But he can also be a god of change coming about. Next up, Orpheus's Melody. Art, Loss, Journey. So Orpheus, this is a very unique Greek legend, and it's also quite the tragedy. See, he was, in Greek mythology, one of the greatest music players and singers of all time. And when he lost his lover, I'm not sure of their name right now, he journeyed down to the underworld. He sung his way down to the underworld, I believe, all the way into Hades' palace, and demanded his lover back. Hades agreed on one condition. He had to ascend all the way from the underworld and trust that his love was behind him. He made it all the way up to the top, and at the last moment, he turned around. She was there, just as Hades had promised. But he turned around too soon. He vanished back down to the underworld. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. Next up. Bit of a more lighthearted card. Athena's Wisdom, Strategy, Intelligence, Courage. This is one of my favorite cards. As I'd like to think of a very wise person, but then again, a wise person knows to never think they are truly wise. So, Athena's Wisdom, Strategy, Intelligence, Courage. Athena is the goddess of all these things, and she was probably one of the smartest goddesses in the mythologies. So, if you ever seen Owl out somewhere, that's one of her symbols of power. If you ever seen Owl out somewhere, maybe just say a quick thank you to Athena. She might be coming to help. Next up, Heracles' Labors. Now this is an interesting one because his Greek name was Heracles. But you probably know him much better by his Roman name, Hercules. His 12 tasks, his 12 great tasks that he undertook. And he succeeded in the end. He had a long, long, long journey, let me tell you. Endeavor, Strength, Redemption. Well, I'd say towards the end he didn't really get redemption, but, he did have quite the endeavor. He had some great strength. He had a little bit of redemption, I'd say, maybe. Next up, we have Penelope's Faith. This is a very actually happy card because she She had a husband, you see, and the husband had to go out on a quest. I think it was Theseus actually who did this. I'm not entirely sure, but whoever the husband was, he went out on a quest and he left her alone for a while. And she stayed in that house waiting for him. And while she did so, many men moved in. I believe it was around 50 men moved in, tried to court her. She never wavered once. She stayed loyal, she stayed true, and she stayed patient for her husband. When, of course, he did return. The Gorgon Stare, Paralysis, Fear, Protection. Now, you might not have heard of the three Gorgons, but I'll tell you who you have heard of. Medusa. She was one of the three Gorgons, the leader of them. Paralysis, Fear, and Protection. Well, technically, I guess it could be a kind of protection if you get turned to stone by Medusa's gaze. It's a bit of paralysis, but it's more along the lines of, not really fear. Well, you can get scared of her, I guess, but it's more along the lines of just getting turned to stone, really. Next up is Electra's Resolve. Justice, Mourning, Determination. This is a legend I actually don't know. I will have to look into this one as I do my readings. But this is card of Justice, Mourning, and Determination. I'll show you this one. Very interesting card. Very, very interesting card. Slide this one under here. Quick. Good. Next up. Almost done with this video for today. Eurydice's Choice. Trust, Decision, Fate. This is a bit of a unique legend, this one. He had to put his trust in a goddess, I believe, and I think this one paid off. I'm going to have to read up on this one, refresh my memory, but I believe this one did indeed pay off. Next up. Pan's Symphony. Now, this is one I'm very familiar with. Pan was, in Greek mythology, what was called a satyr. And he was the god of the wild. Nature, music, wildness, yeah, all of those things. That's what he was the god of. And as time went on, around 2,000 years ago, so said the rumor, a satyr heard a voice telling them to tell them that the great god Pan is dead. Humanity believed it, and ever since they've been going at nature. Sad tale. But who knows? Maybe he really is still alive. We can always hold out hope. Next up, the Labyrinth of Minos. Another Labyrinth card. Challenge, Journey, and Mystery. I think I already explained this one in the previous video. Please, go check out the previous video. This one is explained in it. Let's see. Next up. Slide that into there. We're almost done here. 2 more cards. Second to last one. That is blank. Next up. The Spartan Spirit. I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, "This is Sparta!" Discipline, strength, honor. But the Spartans were really all about that. Discipline, strength, and honor. They were fierce warriors in the old Greek mythos. They were fierce fighters. If you ever found yourself in Sparta, and you found yourself coming up against a Spartan, beware. Final one, the Golden Apple. Discord, desire, and choice. The Golden Apple. See, there were these 4 sisters. I believe they were the daughters of Atlas. They're originally 5, but, well, that's another story. But there's 4 sisters. They guard the Golden Apple Tree along with a dragon. If one ever attained the golden apple, I believe it might, if I'm recalling the legend correctly, and ate the golden apple, it would result in the consumer becoming immortal. Though immortality can be both a blessing and a deadly curse. Imagine that. Never age, never die, just exist. Sure, you'd have all the time in the world to do everything you wanted, but there's something meaningful about mortality. Something you just can't get without it. And on that cheerful note, stay tuned for part 3, the final part of the unboxing, where I will be unboxing the rest of these cards. Thank you very much for watching. Go check out the first part of this video, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.